Australia should have the Queen as head of state. Some Aussies have set up their own monarchies and declared their independence. Now, the oldest of those micronations is the Principality of Hutt River in West Australia. It's 40 years since farmer Leonard Casely became Prince Leonard as part of his protest against government wheat quotas.
Yeah, disputes with authorities have prompted others to secede. Queensland grazier George Muirhead established the Principality of Marlborough in 1993 when a bank threatened to foreclose on him. But Prince George's rule lasted 10 days until police evicted him.
And Prince Paul of Wye declared his principality in suburban Sydney 6 years ago. That was after the council refused to allow his family to build a new driveway to their secluded home. Well, despite cutting ties, Prince Paul was still voted Citizen of the Year by his local community.
So how many micronations exist today right here in Australia? The person to ask is His Imperial Majesty, George II. The Emperor of Atlantium.
Please, Will.
Do we call you Your Highness?
Look, I'm a very informal and modest monarch, okay, so right. George will be quite sufficient.
Okay,
thank you. How many micronations are there in Australia at the moment?
Oh, yeah, we'll get to that. I want to know about Atlantium, though, yours.
You want to know about Atlantium? Well, yes, a lot of people do. Atlantium is a group of progressively minded liberal thinkers. There are about 1,500 of us now, scattered around the world in about 100 countries. And we were founded... How many in
Australia?
About 30% of them are based in Australia. We were founded 29 years ago, myself and my two cousins at the age of 15. In response to my parents who told me, if you want to change the world, do something about it. I think they meant go and join a political party. They didn't mean start a country, but that's what they got. So we've been dealing with that for the last 30 years. And
you started as a kid?
I started as a 15-year-old.
So it wasn't just a game?
It wasn't just a game. I was a very serious-minded child,
wow,
as you can imagine. I spent probably too much time in the library and not enough time outside, but I've made up for that as an adult.
So, and then my other question was how many micronations exist today around the world, and particularly here in Australia?
Well, around the world there are literally hundreds. In terms of ones that are actually based in some geographical territory, there are probably a couple of hundred. Within Australia, probably 30 to 40 have existed since the 1970s, and Prince Leonard was the guy who really sort of started the trend off, where people who have a disagreement of some description with an authority figure or local government go off and start their own country as a response. And it's a peculiarly Australian response.
OK, so it's not just one block of land. Sort of with yours, Atlantium, it's like your own home, is it? Atlantium, dotted around different suburbs.
Well, we actually changed our geographical configuration towards the end of last year. We did have a small office in Potts Point. That's now changed. We now have acquired a province of Aurora, which is twice the size of the Vatican, so it's quite significant. Half the size of Monaco. It's located about halfway between Crookwell and Cowra, about 300 kilometres southwest of Sydney. That's our global capital now.
So explain to me how it works. So if you've got your own province, does that mean you've got your own rules? You can do what you want there?
Effectively, yes. I mean,
so you can speed on your own road, and
well,
you don't
we have one road.
Okay,
we're putting in a second one shortly.
Just logistically, so you can. Do you pay taxes and rates and stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. With Atlantium, what we're saying with Atlantium is that we're not seceding from Australia. We acknowledge that Australia is the overlord of the province of Aurora, and we administer that as though it was an embassy or a consulate. So we make our own rules, we administer those, but really Atlantium is more of a theoretical exercise in a global government, how an ideal global government could be structured. But you
still live by the rules?
We still live by the rules of our home country, and I'm a proud Australian. I vote in Australian elections, but Australia is my home, whereas Atlantium is a representation of me as a global citizen, a citizen of the world, if you will, and that's how our citizens come to us.
So it's a bit of fun, basically.
Well, I'm not sure whether fun is the right word, but we certainly have our tongue planted in our cheek a lot of the time.
Okay. Oh, that's it. I think that's very clever.
Yeah.
It's a way of getting perhaps more attention than we would if we'd simply set up a political lobby group.
Okay. So, hang on, just quickly, what do you stand for then? What are you trying to...
well,
you've got to be flogging something.
Well, some of the ideas that we support are a woman's right to abortion, assisted suicide, unrestricted global international freedom of movement, so we don't support the use of passports and visas. We believe that people should be able to travel around the world and find work in any part of the world and send money around the world without restriction. We're also endorsing the introduction of a decimal calendar system. So we've got a few things on our agenda.
A decimal calendar. I don't ever want to go there. I don't think we'd have time to go there. Very nice to meet you.
Likewise, it's a pleasure to be here.
Thank
Thank you very much for your time.